Are you struggling with low AMH, high FSH, DOR, POI, or maybe even unexplained infertility? Even if you don't have symptoms like bloating or food sensitivities, your gut health could still be impacting your fertility and your egg quality. Poor egg quality, failed IVF cycles, hormone imbalances may be signs of deeper issues. Let's talk about how we can heal your gut. What could be the missing piece to improving your fertility? Let's go. Welcome back. I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fat Fertile. For over a decade, my team and I have helped hundreds of couples improve their chances of pregnancy success, whether naturally or with IVF. We specialize in supporting couples with low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, and recurrent pregnancy loss through functional lab testing and personalized fertility strategies. Today, we're digging into why gut health matters if you have poor egg quality, DOR, or POI. And this episode is for you as if you have low AMH, high FSH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, and you want to understand how gut health impacts fertility. You've struggled with poor egg quality, failed IVF cycles, or unexplained infertility, and you suspect there's deeper issues. You experience bloating, constipation, food sensitivities, and you wonder if they're impacting your hormones and your egg health. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow. And if you know someone else who's on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Okay, so we meet as a clinical mastermind, our team, which includes an OBGYN with a functional medicine background. We have functional nutrition practitioners, fertility mindset coaches. So we meet weekly as a team to really look at cases so we can improve pregnancy success over and over again when we're looking at our stool testing that we do. And I just need to caution people, but it's not about just doing a stool test. People are like, let's just do one stool test. That's just part of it. And so sometimes people have gone off and paid money for some of this tests, but we've got to really look at this overall, looking at the diet and lifestyle and looking at your stress and thyroid and blood sugar, all of this. We can't just go, okay, wait, let's look at the gut infections. And then it didn't work and I wonder why. So the gut infection piece with the stool test that we're doing is super important. And people worry they're not going to find anything when we do the stool testing. And this is looking at the DNA of the stool. It is different than the conventional medicine test that you're doing with your conventional doctor. This is cutting edge functional lab testing that we have access to, shipped worldwide. And being able to address gut infections. If you've got a parasite, a bacterial infection, a fungal infection, you have got to address that. And we see it over and over again when we address the infections with our clients. Their fertility comes back online, their cycle comes back online. So if your body's under attack, you really have to address it. And sometimes we don't even know that we have these infections. I certainly didn't know. I just knew that my health was struggling. Like we see our clients with poor egg quality, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, recurrent pregnancy loss. We do work with people that have unexplained infertility as well, because that is just a lazy diagnosis. If you have been told you have unexplained infertility, no one has dug deeper. That's just them looking at, hey, everything looks normal, air quotes, but we want to make sure it's optimal. We've got to take our health in our own hands, and your REI, your OBGYN, the conventional docs can be there as part of your team, but we can't rely on them as the sole person to be able to help this, because in their toolkit, they have conventional medicine approach. They're going to prescribe and they're potentially going to do surgery. So diet and lifestyle is just not in their wheelhouse. We need to be able to bring them in and then look at other practitioners to help us. So this is something we see with our clients all the time with the gut infections. First of all, why does this even matter? If you've got fertility issues, why is it important to look at the health of the gut? The health of your gut microbiome is going to regulate your nutrient absorption, inflammation, your hormone balance. We see all of those. Obviously, we see hormone imbalances. This is what we work with on a daily basis. Inflammation and nutrient absorption, where you're just low on all your nutrients. And 70% of the immune system is in the gut. And so we see a lot of people with autoimmune issues. They tell me they've got celiac, Hashimoto's, irritable bowel disease, Crohn's, colitis. They've got lupus, and then they're rushing off into an IVF. No, we have got to be able to work on those and reduce inflammation. All of this can impact your ovarian reserve. So you're spending tens of thousands of dollars doing IVF, wondering why the retrieval is canceled, wondering why the embryo is tested abnormally. We have not worked on the health of the gut, which then can help reverse autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease in conventional medicine is they're just going to pass you a pill and say you're on it for life. There's nothing you can do. That's just poor advice. And then gut imbalances create stress in the body, leading to the body is in survival mode, not reproduction mode. So your body is under attack. I want to keep you alive, and it is not prioritizing your fertility. And so we need to be able to address those gut infections that can disrupt the hormones and the egg quality, address the chronic inflammation that increases oxidative stress, lowers your egg quality, that leaky gut. So maybe you're on antibiotics, maybe you're on birth control, maybe you had chronic stress. That can predispose you to leaky gut. So you end up being intolerant to all your favorite foods. All those infections can come in. And as we start to address the infections, repair the gut, reduce inflammation, that can then come back online. If you've got a leaky gut, we see people where they're intolerant to their favorite foods. It's not forever. As we repair the gut, we can bring most of those foods back in. So this can trigger an immune response. It affects implantation. And maybe you've also got disrupted gut microbiome, which is impacting your estrogen metabolism, your progesterone levels, and ovulation. So all of this is important as you then move forward with a potential retrieval, transfer, and doing an IVF or a medicated cycle. And some of the hidden infections that might be blocking your fertility. So we see H. pylori. This is going to lower your stomach acid. A lot of us have H. pylori, but if it's overgrown into a virulence factor, this could be a factor. Maybe you have poor absorption of iron. We see a lot of people with anemia. Maybe you're not absorbing your B12, which is key for egg health. Maybe you're not absorbing zinc. All these nutrients could be low. The H. pylori can increase inflammation. It worsens your gut permeability. So then you get more infections and more immune dysfunction. H. pylori can be passed back and forth via saliva. That's why people are like, oh, I don't think my partner wants to be part of the program. What if you're passing infections back and forth between each other? You go around in a circle. Why? You're wondering why you have gut infections and nutrient absorption issues. And it's because maybe he had the H. pylori. My husband and I have this argument. I'm like, because we had H. pylori. And I'm like, it's you. It's me. No one cares. But we like to joke back and forth on that. Parasites, so it can interfere with nutrient absorption, such as your protein. Maybe you're eating a bunch of protein, you're not actually absorbing it. Your fat-soluble vitamins like your A, your D, your E, your K. It can cause systemic inflammation and worsen autoimmune responses, which is going to impact ovarian reserve. If you got a parasite in there, like rush them forth with IVF, and it's not just about going to somewhere remote in the world. You can get a parasite from and being in North America or Europe, wherever you are. Maybe your dog's out licking a puddle, comes in, gives you a tongue bath, and then you have a parasite. So we do see parasites quite regularly. It's really important to address that fungal overgrowth. Many people doing that anti-candida diet, then it puts the yeast or the fungal into hiding. It's opportunistic. There is a hierarchy of how we address these things. That's very important not to DIY. You'll just back yourself into a corner. So if you have fungal overgrowth, this can disrupt your estrogen, so contributing to estrogen dominance, hormone imbalance. And it also creates toxic byproducts, so they increase your oxidative stress and it can harm egg quality. If you've got yeast overgrowth or mold exposure, we need to be able to address those things. We gotta be careful going down a rabbit hole with these things. We start with food sensitivity testing. We do stool testing, looking at the DNA of the stool. We do genetic testing, looking at your gene variants, what are their specific diet and lifestyle, and supplement recommendations to support those gene variants. Very personalized approach, looking at your blood chemistry. We also see bacterial overgrowth. And we were talking in our mastermind the other day, and streptococcus. I definitely had that. Saw that as a theme. It can be linked to UTIs, which I had, chronic yeast infections, which I had, vaginal dysbiosis, which I had, all of that, which can impact implantation. That's why we do a gut microbiome test. And then we also will do a vaginal microbiome. We also can do seminal microbiome for your partner as well. So we don't want to just throw all these tests at you. We need to work on the foundational pieces of diet, sleep, movement, stress, and then testing can really help us fine tune this. But if you've got a bacterial overgrowth, that can be impacting your ovulation, your egg health, and that can just raise inflammation, the cytokines in your body, and impact egg health. And so symptoms of gut imbalance. So I didn't have any gut issues. I was like, I don't have digestive issues. Everything's fine until I did. So maybe you have none of these. If you have some of these, then, although having said that, I did definitely have UTIs. So we're going to get into this, but I didn't think, I'm like, I don't have a gut infection. I have no digestive issues. But if you have digestive issues, it's key to look at this. And eventually I started getting some of these because I hadn't addressed it. And when I addressed it, they went away. So the bloating, we see this with bloating all the time, where you eat something and someone shouldn't say you're 3 or 4 months pregnant. Constipation and diarrhea, that alternating back and forth, constipation and diarrhea, acid reflux, nausea, stomach pain. That's a clue. I ever had stomach pain as a little girl. back and forth to the hospital. I think I had food sensitivities back then. Food intolerances, gluten, dairy, eggs. A lot of times people are intolerant to the egg whites. We got to take them out. If you have dairy, every time you have dairy, it gives you diarrhea, stop eating it. Not forever. As we heal the gut, we can bring most of it back in. You've got brain fog. I'm really trying to grab the word. You can't even think about it. Fatigue. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever you are, you should not be dragging your butt around. You should have lots of energy. Joint pain. You don't need to wake up every morning and be in excruciating pain. If you got joint pain, that's a clue. Inflammation. Skin issues, eczema, acne, rosacea, hives, dermatitis, all those pieces. You've got skin issues, that could be a clue. There's a gut imbalance. That chronic yeast infections or UTIs, like that is a clue. Autoimmune, such as thyroid or Hashimoto's. We work with a lot of people with endometriosis too. That could be a factor. So digging deeper on those gut imbalances. So some testing. So we're doing the GI map test. Again, I just caution you running out, getting a GI map test and doing the test, following a protocol, wondering why it doesn't work. It can be part of the equation, but we don't just want to hang our hat on one test, one solution. It is looking at your whole body and taking a really no stone left unturned approach. I just see many times people have done that test and it didn't work. It's because we didn't dig deep enough. We just went with a practitioner that doesn't specialize in fertility. So many people are running some of these tests and they don't specialize in fertility. They don't understand the themes that we see day in and day out. So you've got to make sure the person is a specialist in this. Otherwise, you can just be spending good money after bad. So the GI map test is going to look for H. pylori, parasites, fungal, bacterial imbalances. We can also do an organic acids test, an oat test, checking for yeast, mold, nutrient deficiencies. Again, we do those tests up front, food, stool, genetics, then we can bring in other ones as we see fit. We just want to be careful about spending a lot of money on tests. And maybe we're in a toxic relationship. We're stressed, our job, we're working more than 50 hours. We are so stressed about this fertility piece. And then we're like, why are these tests not giving us the results we're looking for? We need to look at this in a targeted manner. So healing your gut to improve better egg quality and hormone balance. So removing the inflammatory foods. I've talked a lot about the AMH diet, really doing an elimination diet. And this is not forever. This is not about you taking these foods out forever. You need to take them out for 10 days, systematically reintroduce. Dairy, gluten, soy, corn, peanuts, eggs, processed sugar, alcohol. Take them out for 10 days. Systematically reintroduce. Email hello@fabfertile.ca, put subject line 10 day, and you'll get the exact recommendations on how to do this. Pick a day, start it, let's go. And then we do a targeted gut healing protocol. So really caution about, you can Google some of this stuff, just you've got to work with someone on it, because I see people that try to DIY this. They're on these protocols for months on end. This is a short-term situation. You don't want to be going on forever. But if we have H. pylori, if we have parasites, if we have fungal overgrowth, we have bacterial overgrowth, we need to be able to do a protocol with a professional to be able to address this. And as part of my team, we have an OBGYN with a functional medicine background. He's our medical case reviewer. He's not your physician, but he's our medical case reviewer to be able to look at this from a medical standpoint, nutrition practitioner, mindset coaches to really put this all together. So we need to be able to develop a protocol, and our average protocol is about 3 to 4 months. And you'll know why you're taking those supplements and what they're for. Because sometimes we're taking a whole bunch of supplements and we could just have expensive pee, or we could just be throwing money down the drain. They're not even good for us. We want to support our digestion and really start absorbing things. So digestive enzymes can be helpful to take them with meals. You want to increase fiber for healthy gut bacteria. And so things to help absorb. Sometimes you can do bitters before a meal, digestive enzymes if you're out and about, and maybe you get dairy or gluten. There's dairy or gluten pills you can take, so you're not going to be dairy or glutened. But we want to support the digestion and work on gut repair. And then we want to rebuild the gut microbiome. So considering probiotics. So we do have a probiotic that's foundation to our approach. And then depending on what it is we're finding here, we repair the gut. So you can look at Saccharomyces boulardii, that can be good for yeast. We want microbiome support. We can do some prebiotics. So some veggies, garlics, onions, asparagus, some fruits, apples or berries, some root vegetables. With the apples, we can do a little apple compote or just to cook them up. That can be helpful for the gut, cooked apples. Root vegetables, sweet potatoes. You can look at some grains, but sometimes typically some of the grains can be inflammatory. You can do a quinoa or gluten-free oats. So you can be careful. If you've got non-celiac gluten sensitivity, even the oats can be cross-reactors. Sometimes then you can do nuts and seeds, so chia or walnuts can be helpful, or flax seeds. Again, you want to be careful depending on if you've got a lot of gut issues such as constipation and diarrhea. That might not be recommended. Fermented foods, if tolerated, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. You got to be careful. Again, if you've got fungal issues, that can be not recommended because it can flare things up. So you want to stay away from those fermented foods. But the prebiotic foods can feed the good bacteria and help improve gut health. And then also you can do bone broth. Bone broth is nice. You can buy it or make your own. It's super easy. Just put the bones in there and put it in a slow cooker and off you go. Collagen, all this can be good for your gut health. And then you want to manage your sleep and stress. So high cortisol levels, yes, can impact your gut health. So deep breathing, meditation, looking at better sleep hygiene. Sleep impacts your gut microbiome. You want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And how long does all this take? So typically our average protocols are about 3 to 4 months, but our average success for pregnancy is 12 to 18 months. Obviously we have people that get pregnant earlier, but it takes an average of about 90 days for the egg to renew itself. The life cycle of the sperm is 70 to 80 days. So in a short period of time, you can see improvements, but we don't want to be in a big rush here, right? You go to the fertility clinic, they're going to tell you your egg supply is dwindling, the AMH is so low, you had better rush in for another retrieval, for a transfer. We need to be careful of that mindset, that panic. That does not help our cortisol levels, doesn't help our gut health. You could be doing a lot of work, and then we've got the mindset piece of this that we're feeling panic. And the fertility industry will have us feeling panic. We focus on that AMH and the FSH, get hooked in on our diagnosis of diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, and we think there's nothing we can do. That is just not the case. We've got to take our health into our own hands. So you can see big improvements in your health in 3 to 6 months. And so if you've got that low AMH or high FSH, or you've been told you've got poor egg quality, that the eggs aren't making it, or your transfer is not working, you don't want to overlook gut health. You've got to look at those hidden infections that could be blocking absorption of those nutrients. And those are critical for fertility. And the testing can really help you get to the bottom of why this is not working. And so looking at testing, bringing this in together, working with a specialist, that can improve your egg quality, better implantation. So we see that a lot with people. I got people coming in saying, I'm just thinking of one where all her egg retrievals failed. She was told she had the most terrible egg quality ever. She went to work within 6 to 7 months, went back in for a retrieval, and she had great egg quality and had a wonderful transfer and went off and had her son. So this is going to improve pregnancy success. There is no negative side effects for you taking time to work on your health. This impacts the health of your pregnancy, the health of your postpartum period, the health of your child. We've got to be careful about, I see people doing 14, 15, 16, 20 IVFs and putting all those hormones in your body. We just don't know the long-term side effects of that. And the body's yelling at you saying, wait a minute, something is wrong. And we keep pushing it with medication. So IVF can be part of the solution, but by itself is just a Band-Aid. If you want to get help to improve pregnancy success, just send me a message saying hello@fabfertile.ca, put subject line fertile, FERTILE, and we can give you some options to help improve pregnancy success. Thanks for listening. And hopefully this was helpful. And you can start implementing some of these strategies right now to improve your gut health, improve egg quality, and get pregnant.